delays.
Is that your sound check?
Yeah, you like it?
Yeah, mine sounds like a dying bird or giraffe, because mine's more like
Mwah! Mwah!
because I can see the bars from here just go and I know as long as you can hear me, I'm here.
That's right. Oh my gosh, it is Thursday. You know what that means?
It's the day before Friday.
It's the day before Friday, which is not a normal day we shoot do our streams, but we're doing it today because I had to work yesterday, everyone, and I'm gonna let the hair down. I have already taken off the lab coat. I've changed into something a little bit more comfortable, and now I am becoming the horror dude. Oh, there we go. Welcome everyone to 52 Weeks of Horror, where we are making that scary. And yes, today is Thursday, not our normal day that we do this, but we're doing it today because I had to work. Oh, sorry, I'm getting phone ringies. Let me turn that down. so sorry about that. But I'm Jeffrey Potts. With me, as always, is Haley Joanna.
Hey.
And welcome to Thursday, where we talk about our podcast stuff. It's our horror show where we talk about horror stuff. So
it's a real horror show.
It really is. It's scary because sometimes it's like, what are we talking about today? I don't know. But actually, this week there's
We
quite
did
a
research.
we did research, and also there's quite a bit of stuff to talk about, which is really cool. So I think we should start off with the big news, though. Haley,
What?
do you know what that big news is?
No.
Ghostbusters.
Oh,
Ghostbusters are
news.
back. Yeah, Ghostbusters, which is actually very appropriate, honestly.
Is it?
It is, and I'll tell you why. Because recently, Dan Lee, our amazing writer, wrote an article about remakes and all that stuff for 52weeksofhorror.com. So if you have not checked that out, you should. You should go over there, check out 52weeksofhorror.com, check out Dan Lee's article on remakes.
Sorry.
And it's really good.
And it's free.
And it's free. Yeah. As opposed to the movies and everything else out there. So, you know what? So let's talk about this real quick. Let's talk about Ghostbusters.
All right.
You saw the teaser.
I did see the teaser.
Did you see the teaser? Okay. I don't know if anybody else out there has seen the teaser, but if you have, I would love to know what you think. You can put it in the comments, by all means. I'm going to say, so far, so good.
Okay.
So far, so good. Now, there was if you haven't seen it, you should pause and check it out. It's like what?
Pause? You're going to have them pause live?
Yeah, pause life. Pause the life and then come back. I mean, I won't stop. I was paused. See,
Oh,
it's
that's what you're doing. That was scary.
You like it?
No,
No?
don't
Oh.
do it again. It's terrifying.
Sorry. Okay. Well, I won't do that then.
Okay.
But if you haven't seen it, you should go check it out real quick. It's sparse. I'll give it that. But
it's a teaser. Though.
It's a teaser.
It's not a trailer.
But there's two things about it that I actually did enjoy. Oh, I'm ghosting out right now. Oh, there we go. Anyway, there's two things about it that I liked, right?
Okay.
So it looks like they're referencing the house of Ray.
That's what I was thinking.
You know? Because he puts that second mortgage on the house in the original Ghostbusters, and he's like, oh, my parents left me that house. I was born there. And then, Egon is back there doing the calculations of the interest that he's going to be paying, which is an exorbitant amount of interest. And Peter Venkman is just like, haha, we have our money for our business.
Right? That's your Bill Murray, huh?
That's your Bill Murray, yeah. And they're like, he's like, you didn't even negotiate with the guy. What are you doing? But... So yeah, I believe that's where that came from, and that's the camera today is just
it's drunk.
It's drunker than me.
The camera gets really drunk. That's what it does. Look at it. It's so confused by your ghost cup.
I know, right? It's like I want to focus on something, but I can't because it's keyed out.
No, never
What?
mind. I was gonna say before you get so into it, like, do you want to know my thoughts?
I do. Hey, Cannibals here.
Hello,
What's
Cannibal.
going on, buddy? How you doing? Welcome to Thursday's stream.
Back.
Yeah, Haley is feeling better, so that's good.
Haley the remake.
Haley the remake. Oh, yeah. You are remade. We will remake her. She is reborn. But yes, I do want to know what was your thoughts?
I'm very skeptical on this. I'm very, very, very extremely 133% out of 10%.
Yeah.
Skeptical. That's my math.
Okay, your math is fascinating. Your math is fascinating. Anyway, I too am skeptical, but I have a little bit more hope for this one. I do indeed have a little bit more hope. 2 reasons. Again, I think they're pulling references. At least I believe that's the house, that Ray's house. And then second, obviously you had Ecto 1 there at the very last shot. Cannibal, have you seen the teaser for the remake of I guess the soft reboot of Ghostbusters?
Why do we have to call it a reboot?
Hey Marcy, what's up? How's it going? Welcome to the show.
Why do we have to call this a reboot? Why can't it be a sequel? Why do we have to call everything a reboot?
Because here's the thing, and I'll be honest with you. This is what's going to happen with this. You're going to get the original Ghostbusters, but you can't get all the Ghostbusters because sadly Harold Ramis has passed. That was a shocker, though, when that happened. It was like one of those, oh, no.
Hopefully they did not do CGI ghost version of Harold Ramis.
No, I don't think.
Or, you never know. They tried it with Star Wars.
Yeah.
And
Marcy's good. You might have a fractured ankle, though. What did you do?
Honey, don't do that.
What did you do? Why would you do that?
That doesn't sound like fun.
Stop breaking stuff.
I hope you feel better.
Cannibal has not seen the teaser to Ghostbusters, but he doesn't care.
He doesn't care about anything. And yet he still tunes into us, which
I know. I appreciate that. No, seriously, I do appreciate that.
Cannibal's our number 1 cynic, and I love him.
Fantastic. Cynicism is like the spice of life. It's like cinnamon, except for cynicism.
That's where you went with that, huh?
You tripped over your own foot.
Oh, honey, are you related to me?
That's what Haley does.
That's
I literally
crap
see.
I did.
I'll watch her walk, seriously, just walking along, and then boom. I don't even know how it happens. It's just her and Gravity just decided. Gravity was just. I'm calling out a hit on Haley, and somehow makes that happen. I don't even know how it works. Seriously,
the story of my life. I fell off a 2-inch step once and broke my foot.
Yeah.
I also crashed into a wall. That sucked.
Yeah. So anyway, here's where I'm going with this. Okay, so you can't have a complete, remake of the series, right? Because that would just be you can't because they tried that already in 2016 and that failed spectacularly.
Do you think this is an excuse? This is a excuse / apology for that movie?
I believe so, but here's the thing. I think they really wanted to do the Ghostbuster world, that whole Ghostbusters Inc. sort of thing, but it just doesn't work out because their first go out just miserably missed the mark. And here's what I'm thinking is interesting about this one, because obviously, again, we are in somewhere in upstate New York, because you see farm, you're not in the city, and that's fine, that's great. But now, obviously we hear the sound of the proton packs kind of warming up and shooting off and stuff like that. So, in the original Ghostbusters, Egon says that they have a half-life of 1,000 years. So it can't be the thing's breaking down. So I'm thinking someone's working on it.
Okay.
Right? So I have a feeling that it's going to be a relative of Ray who...
You've been wanting this for a while.
I have
been. You came up with this story when you were mad about the other reboot.
It's true. It's absolutely true. This was the plot line that I had several years ago before the new one came out. I was thinking to myself, if you're going to make this movie, have someone be a relative of Ray or Venkman or one of those guys, or even Spangler, who discovers the what they had done and tries to resurrect the business, all while there's a big bad ghost thing coming out to wreak havoc again, and thus you reform the team. And that's what I was thinking was going to happen with the original, this new one. But then it came out when the actual trailer dropped. It was just, yeah, it was just not good.
Hemsworth looked cool in that, but
Campbell loves Ghostbusters, dude. It's awesome. I love Ghostbusters. It's one of my favorite movies.
I am gonna laugh if this is actually just a huge thing to have Rick Moranis start or again another movie again.
It's like the Predator Cup.
This is really they're just trying to bring back Rick Moranis.
That's the whole ploy. That's the whole ploy. They want to bring
Rick Moranis back, and he like blows up a baby, and it'll be amazing.
She goes forward with it. I'm blowing up a baby.
No, that's a movie he's in. Honey, I Blew Up the Baby.
Oh, that's true. I forgot.
And then he's Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, and then Honey, We Shrunk Ourselves, which nobody gives a shit about. Sorry.
Right. No, it's true. It's true. You know, I really only. I think I saw Honey, we blew up ourselves, or we shrunk ourselves, or something like that.
That was stupid. The one where they shrink the parents is really dumb. The one where they shrink the kids and then or make the baby grow, those two are really good. But
yeah,
no, my reason for being so skeptical about it is while we do kind of want to continue the story, no one's good at it. No one's good at continuing this story.
Right.
And B, the CGI in that trailer was unnecessary. Like, the graphics in that trailer were bad.
In the new trailer?
In the teaser, yes. The coloring and all the editing of it just annoyed the crap out of me. Like, there were so many useless colors.
I was going to say, what coloring, though? Cause, I mean, not coloring. What editing? There was hardly... It was, like, pretty much a long shot.
There was small editing, but, like, it was mostly the colors and the CG, and I'm just like, it's going to be too cartoony. Based off of what I saw, I'm afraid it's going to be too cartoony.
I
not
can...
practical enough.
I can see that. Yeah, I can understand why that would be definitely something to avoid, you know, like... where you'd be skeptical about, because that was a thing with the remake they just did in 2016.
It was too CG.
Well, that's the thing. They said they were trying to do like all these practical effects, and they, you know, got real actors, and they put the lights around them and all this stuff. But by the end, after the computers got a hold and they pixelized everything, it turned into just another CGI kind of.
Which I have no problem with adding a little bit of CGI to a practical effect.
Sure.
With subtlety. Like Hellboy. The first one.
Yeah.
The Hellboy has a little bit of subtlety. X-Men has a little bit of subtlety.
Yeah. You know my personally, perhaps one of my favorite examples of CGI, though, personally, Mad Max Fury Road.
Oh yeah, that was pretty dope.
I mean, you don't know it's CGI because it's all like background stuff. It's stuff to fill in the scene. It's stuff it's there to enhance the actual thing that's going on. It's not part of the scene itself. You know, it's like not like, oh my gosh, this was like so. It's not like a CGI character like you said in Star Wars, like in Rogue One.
Yeah, if this movie ends up being like 70% practical, I will be okay with it.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see what happens. I have a feeling that, you know...
I have a feeling it's going to be way too campy and not in a good way.
Right.
But this is me. I have become overly skeptical about and cynical about remakes these days.
I just really think that eventually...
I want it to be good.
Yeah, I just really think that... I think they really learned their lesson with the last one, and they're going to be super cautious. In fact, actually, that's probably my biggest fear, is that they're going to be too cautious. Because the remake, the 2016, they spent so much time trying to reference and trying to throw in the other movie, you know, like reference the original, that they didn't even bother with their own. And finally, when they finally did get to their own story, it was kind of like, oh. No, I get that. I get that Cannibal doesn't like... I get that you probably don't love Fury Road, because by going Fury Road, drive down a road and turn around. I get that. I understand. I'm not talking about the storyline itself.
Yeah.
You know, because I agree with... I agree with you. It's not really... I don't know why they call it Mad Max. It should have just been you know, Furiosa, the movie. But the use of CGI in the film was, I think, probably one of the best used versions. Because when I saw like a making of, this is where the CGI was used, it was like, oh, they took a scene and they like added some mountains in the background, and or they added a few more cars behind the actual real cars, or they took out what was there and added something else. Like, it was one of those things where they're just adding scenery, they're adding background, they're adding stuff to help the scene move, but not necessarily make it a focal point of the scene. And that's what I'm saying about it. Not necessarily the storyline, because it should have. Mad Max should not have been the title character of that film, because it should have been Furiosa the movie. But yeah, right? No, that's what I'm saying about that. But yeah,
I will have low expectations about Ghostbusters, so hopefully it'll be good.
Well, I'm not gonna really pass a whole lot of judgment on it yet until we get an actual real trailer, and then we'll see. Then we'll see, because that was the thing. I think the teaser to the 2016 film wasn't nearly as horrid.
However, I will say this:
I'm trying to remember if I saw that.
I had no idea they were this far into the process.
I know, right? And it's Ivan Reitman's son. Can we talk about John Wick 3? Oh my god, I did see the poster for that today.
Did the trailer drop today?
Did the trailer drop today? I don't know.
I heard it was being hinted that it was dropping today. I am stoked for John Wick 3.
I just saw a poster for it, and that was cool. That was cool. Although I still think my favorite poster was, it's basically him,
Dude, John Wick is my hero.
Like this at the poster, and then all around him are like guns pointing at his face. Like, that to me was cool. This one here, it's more of a shot where it's like he's here in the corner, right? Like, I'm John Wick, and then all around
actual dialogue of John
all
Wick.
Around him, like here and here, is like people, and every single one of them has got a gun pointed at John Wick. I saw trailer. Oh, you saw the trailer? Sweet.
John Wick Chapter 3 official trailer. 2 hours ago. Is that right?
Is that right? Should we watch it?
I don't know.
I can't stream that because it's not ours. But maybe we can watch it real quick. Here we go. Let's see here. Trending? I'm sure it's trending. Everything's trending. Oh, there it is. Oh, dang.
Just make sure your chat's still available.
And away we go.
Hey.
Please hold while we watch this trailer.
Yeah, we're watching a trailer right now.
Jonathan, what have you done?
Oh, nice puppy.
There's no escape for you. The High Table wants your life.
Oh, it looks so pretty.
It does look pretty.
Tell me what you want.
Passage.
I can't help you.
Oh, right, his wife died.
Do you expect him to make it out? A $14 million bounty on his head. Everyone in the city wants a piece of it. I say the odds are about even. Dark, 5 seconds.
John Wick, excommunicado in effect in 3,
2.
1.
And away we go.
Oh.
Oh, that's gorgeous.
I love it. Is that, what's his face? Oh, huh? Not Ang Lee. That's a beautiful.
Why is he in the desert?
We're not
Halle
going in.
Berry?
Halle Berry's in this.
Just the conversation.
Nothing since ever just a conversation with you, John.
Arabella.
John Leguizamo in this for like 2 seconds, like he always is.
Right? Hey, that looks cool. I'm
That was
fine with that.
awesome.
I'm not gonna. Okay, so here's the thing. I liked it. I think it's cool. It wasn't nearly as epic as I thought the trailer was going to be.
It's still cool.
It is still cool. It is still cool, and I like it.
What's going on in the chat?
I have reaction, live reaction. That's right. That was it. Yeah, no, I think that was really good. I'm excited to see it. I'm excited. It's funny because I didn't see the first. I saw the first John Wick. Let me.
We own both.
We own both of
first
them,
two.
but I didn't watch the first John Wick until like it came out on DVD. And by the time I watched the first John Wick, the second one was coming out, and Haley got me the second.
So
She
we
got me
didn't
both.
have to wait for the second
Yeah,
one.
so now the third one is coming out, and I have to wait for it because, oh,
Keanu Reeves, man.
I know,
That
right?
man is just never ages.
I know, right? And that's a good way to do a
John
film.
Wick is awesome. Like
That was
it's
a comic book.
ridiculous.
Yeah,
It is all about vengeance of a puppy and his wife, whatever. But his puppy,
right,
and
right.
it's just so freaking good.
It is good. It really is
you know
good.
what you're getting going in, and then you get more.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's one of those movies that you're just like, oh, please let there be like some action in this. You know, like you want that kind of like that release, that sweet release. You know, as he's going through, and it happens, and then it's like, oh, cool, you killed the guy. Oh my god, he's killing everyone. Oh my god, yes, yes. And then eventually you're just like, how much more brutal can this? Because you know, it's like one of those things where you have to keep you show something, and then you have to up the ante, and you have to up it a little bit more, and you get to a certain point, you're like, you can't. They're not going to be able to top this.
You know what I would love?
And then they do, and you're like, oh my god,
I would love
so
to
good.
watch John Wick in like VR mode, like you're from like his point of view.
Oh man,
That
I don't
would
know.
be so
I feel like that's that movie Hardcore Henry. That's basically
that would be
VR.
so cool. However, then they tried to make a female version, which is not
What
could
was-
have been cool.
what
but
was that one?
Atomic Blonde,
Uh,
freaking sucked. Sorry.
yeah, Atomic
It
Blonde.
had one good John Wick scene.
Yeah, it had that one moment. What if Johnny Utah became John Wick? Ooh, that would be fun. Can you imagine that? Sorry, but going back to Haley's point. Yeah, Atomic Blonde, that was an okay film. But you hit the nail on the head with that one because it starts off as a they're in an interview scene, like, oh, tell us what happened. You're like, well, that kills all tension right now immediately because you're like,
we
oh,
know
well,
she won't die.
we know she at least lives up to
Up
this
until
point.
now.
Yeah, and I'm sure all that stuff in Germany, Berlin, is going to go down. It's going to be like, oh my gosh, there's so much tension. Is she going to survive this? And then suddenly it's like, oh, of course she's going to survive it. She's doing an interview, so she's got to survive. So that's always the problem with movies like that when they do interviews. It's like, well, you know, they made it, so why? Don't sugarcoat it. It was bad.
It was terrible. There was one good scene, and it was
Yeah.
the scene they showed in the trailer where it's
That
the
was.
John Wick like scene.
That
where
was the best
camera
part.
follows her through the fight. We needed that the whole movie.
Yeah, I agree. Here's the thing. I don't mind if you're going to do a spy movie. That's fine. I like spy movies. They're cool. But the problem with that one was it didn't know what it wanted to be. And if you're going to do a spy movie, like a proper cool spy movie, like Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy, that's a cool spy movie.
That was good.
That's a cool spy movie. Like, it's intellectual. It's in depth. You're just like, first of all, for me, I had to watch it a second time just because I was like, what the hell happened? Like, I didn't even get half of it until I watched this. I was like, oh, I get it now. But I didn't get any of that, like, in depth, like, real actual spycraft in that movie, and I didn't get the fun of a John Wick or a James Bond in it either. So it was kind of like this, like, well, it wasn't horrible. It wasn't the worst thing I ever saw. It wasn't the best either. So, yeah, I'm putting a little sugar on it, but, you know, I'm trying. I try. I mean, it was a spy movie that's my thing, but, like James Bond, but don't hate me. I mean, it was a spy movie, and that is my thing, like James Bond. No, oh no, I like spy movies. I love spy movies. It's fine.
Wait a freaking minute. Cannibal likes something?
Spy
Holy
movies.
hell!
Dude,
we figured it out.
I never appreciated James Bond until I was in college. That was my thing.
Either. I didn't appreciate James Bond till Skyfall.
Oh, see, I didn't get into James Bond until Goldeneye. And that was really the first James Bond film I really sat down and watched, because my friends really were like, oh, let's watch this. And I was like, James Bond? Really? Are we watching that?
I mean, Tomorrow Never Dies was
isn't my thing. Sorry. Oh. I was like, yeah, that's fine.
I knew it.
I know. I was like, wait a minute. This doesn't smell right here. But hey, you never know. But yeah, my first spy movie was James Bond, Goldeneye, and I was like, okay, I can see where this comes from. But yeah, that wasn't still not my hugest. Like, it's not like my go-to, obviously. Horror is my go-to. But
speaking of horror,
yes, we should probably get back on the horror topic. We started with Ghostbusters, and we just veered off.
Speaking of horror,
I know, right?
Did you hear that the producer of Halloween wants to reboot Friday the 13th?
I would do a spit take if I hadn't known that was coming up. Hey, I like lots of things. What?
Prove it. No, we're kidding, man.
Just
we're
kidding,
just
just
messing
kidding.
with you.
I
He
don't know-
obviously likes us for some weird reason.
Yeah, I mean, you keep showing up, so thank
We
you for that.
appreciate you. We appreciate everyone who watches.
Yeah. Yes. So thank you for that. Anyway, yeah, I briefly glanced at the article.
I don't know, like, full in depth on how true that is, but let's take this with this whole reboot
Yeah.
conversation that we're having.
We're in the remake mood, so let's talk about remakes. And we're the Friday the 13th, the producer of.
Right. And
Was that Jason Blum who?
no,
wants
it's
to,
not Blumhouse
Oh.
that's wanting to do it. It's LeBron. I don't remember his name. Anyway, obviously I'm great at the news, but
Haley does research, everyone.
I did this like a couple days ago.
You had time to prepare.
So anyway, do you think that would work?
A remake of Friday the 13th.
If the producer of Halloween was doing this new Halloween was doing it, do you think Friday the 13th would work as a reboot?
No.
Exactly.
No.
That's all I had to say.
No, I don't think it'll work, but I have reasons why I don't think it'll work.
Okay.
First of all, you have to figure out your timeline. Friday the 13th itself works in a sort of kind of like a duct-taped sort of jalopy car. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's duct-taped together. It turns on and it gets you from point A to point B somehow. It works. It gets you there. It's good enough. And it, and there's
Friday the 13th.
Yeah, we're talking about the original series, Friday the 13th, and there are things about it. There's those little details about the series, about the car, the duct tape car that you just love, right? You just like this is it. This is like people on a budget going out there. They're making this film that is kind of ridiculous, and then someone's like, well, that worked right. That went well, especially the first one, right? The first one is,
I was very upset when I was younger that Jason Voorhees, like, in the hockey mask doesn't show up in the first one.
Not even the second one.
And then I finally found a respect for it.
Yeah, it's not even the second one. He doesn't show up with the hockey mask till the third one.
Right.
And it's only halfway through.
And the third one, I'm just kind of like...
Yeah. Well, you know.
It is what it is.
Yeah, but that's the thing. Yeah, the Friday remake already did that. This is what Cannibal says, and showed homage to the originals, which I get.
I did like the remake.
You liked the remake. I thought it was fine. Again, all you can do is show homage to the originals because, again, the series itself is kind of this weird, like, duct tape sort of thing that just barely works, but at the same time, there's all this charm and these images and stuff like that you just love, right? Okay. Because, okay, let's just talk about it real quick. First one, Jason's not even in it, really, until the very, very end, which you could argue he's not even in it. It could be just a dream, right? Because he comes up out of the lake as the boy, pulls the girl under. Because he was supposed to already be dead. That was the whole point. Like, the mother was after these kids because their neglect of him killed Jason, right? He drowned in the lake. And then we get to part 2. He isn't dead. So we had this whole first movie. What? And now we have the second, and he wasn't dead. He just survived, but he was living in the woods, I guess, eating animals and scrounging up, and he wore the town that dreaded sunlight mask over his head, right? And they literally stole it from that mask from that movie. And then they get to the third one, which, again, now they're like, okay, well, we got to have something else, and they come up with the hockey mask idea, which is what Larry Zerner wore as, oh crap, I forget the character's name. You'd think I'd remember this. I should remember this. I definitely remember this. It's on the tip of my tongue.
Keep stalling.
No. It sounds like a girl's name. Not Ashley, because that's Ash. Oh, if you know what it is, let me know. Shelly, that's it. Shelly. Dang it. I was like this close. It was like on the tip of my tongue. Anyway, Shelly, is this kind of weird kid who's like, I'm a practical joker. I'm awkward around women because I don't have any self-confidence. And he's like, oh, we're going to get with this. I could possibly get with this girl, but who's super hot, by the way. But he's just an awkward kid who likes to play practical jokes. So one of the practical jokes he plays is wearing the hockey mask. Well, it didn't end well for Shelly. So
spoiler alert.
Yeah, I know. Well, I'm sure if you're watching this, you've seen Friday the 13th, at least up to part 3. So hopefully, if not, go back and watch it. I mean, seriously, do yourself a favor. It might be a duct tape jalopy that gets you from point A to point B, but barely. But it's still lovable. There. It's still lovable, and it's still amazing. So yeah, so you have this weird kind of origin story for Jason set up by the original series, which is just a bizarre thing, which is like, oh, he was dead, oh, he's not dead, then he is alive, and then he has his mother's head. So he literally lived in the forest for, let's just say, 30 years, and his mother didn't even know. It's like, that doesn't make any sense, but it doesn't matter. It gets you there. It gets you to a second movie, and then it gets you to the third movie. That's all you need. But so when you try to make a remake of Friday the 13th, where do you begin with that? You begin with it. He did die in the lake, and it was the mother who was killing the kids in the original, or do you start with he never died? So what the hell was the point of everyone? He's just an angry kid. Or what? So it's like one of these things.
I have an answer to this question.
So it's like one of these things. Okay, one moment, and we'll get to that. So it's one of these things. Is like, where do you go with that? And then how do you remake it? Because obviously anybody who tries to remake it wants to kind of either streamline that whole story and be like, okay, he died, but then it came back. No, the timeline still isn't bad as Halloween's. Halloween's definitely has a worse timeline, but I think, but I think if you took the first 2 films of Halloween and you stopped there,
which two? Like the first 2 original ones, or the new one and the original first one?
Well, I think that's what they did with this new one that came out. They basically stopped at the end of part 1.
They said no Rob Zombie.
They basically said, okay, we're not going to acknowledge part 2 because they got rid of the whole sister thing. which was
go
revealed in
them.
part 2. And then they got rid of the whole rest of the series. Like, they just basically threw it out and basically said, oh, no, that was made up.
How annoyed would you be if you worked so hard on a series and then some guy comes along and just is like,
Well,
or woman.
Terminator.
Yeah, it's just like, forget that.
Terminator.
Yeah, we don't talk about that movie. That's another bad remake.
Terminator was basically wiped out its own timeline with the new one.
Yeah, and that one doesn't count as a film. Anyway, back to this.
One more second, Haley. I promise I'll let you speak. But I just want to say, no, the timeline to Halloween is also messed up. But I think if you're just trying to do a remake, there was more of a springboard there for you in at least Halloween, because the killer does exist. The killer is there. The remake, if you make a Friday the 13th remake and you try to go off with part 1, he was dead already. So you'd have to have him come back from the grave. So I guess that could work, but anyway, go ahead, Haley.
Oh, I was saying my answer to the whole situation. You just don't remake it. You just don't. Don't touch it. Leave it alone. Jason Voorhees doesn't have as much depth as Michael Myers. Like, I don't care. Like, he is scary, yes. But based off the first movie alone...
Woven! Oh!
Thank you, Woven!
Thank you so much. Subscribe.
But
Thank you. 10 months. Dang.
Wow.
Oh, well done. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Based on the first movie alone, Jason's dead. There he is. He's dead. Dead. And then you bring him back. Okay, so he's a zombie or something of that nature. There's no depth to that. There's no person in there. They're just, they are.
Right.
But
they're a shell. They're basically a shell. That's a
Michael Myers, what's the word?
Arguably.
Thank you. Could be the same thing because we don't know anything about him, but he's still a living human in the first one.
Well, yeah, that's the thing. He is still living in the first one. He's a child in the first one when he kills his sister.
Which I feel is a little bit more scarier with the fact of he's still a living, breathing human. That means there's some brain function going on there. Why does he do what he does, even if there is no reason why he does what he does?
Right. I think that's what they try to explore with the remake, actually,
exactly.
or the new one.
Remake of Jason.
Well, that's my biggest thing is where do you begin with that particular problem?
You do what they did with the last remake of it, and just leave it as that. Is you show homage. This is one of those rare moments where I'm allowing the homage thing to happen. To go, oh, okay, not remaking an entire New Hope. We're not doing that.
Star Wars.
Gamer,
the cannibal's favorite thing, Star Wars.
Star Wars. It's his favorite. So anyway, that's just my point on it. It's just you don't do it.
And that's fine, and I agree. And for the most part, I agree with that. I think I don't even know how you'd go about it.
It's like remaking Chucky. You just don't leave it alone. They need to stop.
Right. So, Haga? I don't know what that is.
What's it say?
Haga. Haga. I don't know.
Maybe he's writing a word. Maybe he's speaking in code.
Maybe.
Oh,
typo.
Oh, okay.
I give up. I get you, man.
I will
Typing.
say, like, even Scream, you can't remake Scream. There's no way to do Scream in modern society to make it as scary as it was back in the day.
I just had a great idea.
Kind of touches on the new stuff, but still,
I just had a great idea.
Yeah.
I just had a great idea. This is how you remake Friday the 13th. Right?
Okay.
And you're gonna hate it.
Oh, I'm sure.
Everyone's gonna hate it, but this is the only way I can see that you can remake it, kind of set certain things, and move forward. We do an origin story. We do the day Jason died as a child, but that's the ending of the film because up to that point he is murdering everyone as a freaking child.
Wait, so
as a freaking
oh my gosh, that's messed up at that point. But so basically,
I think that could work.
So basically, what you're saying is they let him die for a good reason, is because he was killing everybody.
Yes.
But his mother still loves him because
Yes.
he's her baby boy.
Yes.
I swear, if this film comes out,
I think that's the
you
only...
heard it here first.
I
folks.
think that's the only way you could possibly do it, because I think having a child version of Jason, you know, basically the Ari, you know, not Laramie.
Use your words.
I can't remember the guy's name. Ari. I know his name is Ari something, or Ari or something.
From where?
The guy who played the original Jason.
Oh, I don't know.
Yeah, it's all right.
I know that Richard Brooker played Jason.
See, yeah, I do know Richard Brooker played Jason, and I know Kane Hodder played Jason. I know, you know, a bunch of other people played Jason, but Ari Lehman, I think. Ari Lehman or something to that effect. He played the original child version of Jason. See, Cannibal likes my idea.
I like
Killer
your idea.
Kid Jason. I love it. See, that I think that's the only way you could do it. I think if you started off Camp Crystal Lake, it's been there for like several years. People love going there, and you know, Jason's mom is like, "Oh, you're gonna love this here. It's very." Maybe she gets a job there, or she does something. Did they ever explain that? I'm trying to remember back. 'Cause it's been a couple years since I've seen the original. Ari Lehman, yeah. That's it. I do remember. I don't recall if that's the thing, because she says that they all were not paying attention. So how does she know that?
Was she like a cook there?
That's the thing. I'm trying to remember.
Like she worked there.
I feel like she did too. I
just
could be
want them
wrong
to
about
bring
that, but
back-
I feel like that's the case. I have to go back and rewatch it because it's been in like a year, couple years since I watched
I just want them to bring
it.
back Kevin Bacon
Maybe 2.
and like he just keeps dying, like getting injured, and like he gets shot, falls down a cliff. I like Kevin Bacon though.
Yeah, I was gonna say I don't think Kevin Bacon's gonna really work out for being a camp counselor at
He could.
Camp Crystal Lake while
He came back
at that
once
particular
he
point.
did Footloose
I think
for-
he's a little bit old, maybe. That's all I'm
He
saying.
could be the guy who runs the camp.
But it will never happen because they can't. They can't their stuff together. Yeah, no, I get it. That's why we are getting fan films. I know, right?
I will say, yes, okay, let me rephrase. The best way to do a reboot, remake, or any type of film like that was Never Hike Alone.
Never Hike Alone was
by
a freaking...
Womp Stomp.
Yeah, Never Hike Alone was an amazing, amazing fan film. And I think if you're going to continue the storyline, that's the way you do it.
Yeah, I actually...
Because that was good.
That was one of my points I was going to make in my research, but I completely forgot because my Post-it note's over there.
Oh, well, you should get your Post-it notes then.
Well, I think we've said everything that's on the Post-it note.
Oh.
But yeah, Womp Stomp did it right.
They did do a good job, and I really, really, really liked that film.
Yeah, they have a little bit of nostalgia in there. They bring back one of the characters.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It hit all the right notes.
But it wasn't to the point of where you didn't necessarily have to know what Friday the 13th was to watch it.
Right. Yeah, that's the thing. Like, if you hadn't seen it before, you still understood what was going on. You wouldn't have caught everything. You wouldn't have caught all those subtle references.
Except for at the end where the guy shows up, you would be like, okay, this is obviously somebody because they're kind of hitting on this pretty damn hard.
Right. But
it wasn't
if you
bad.
didn't know the series, you wouldn't have been like, I don't know who this character is. But if you did know the series, you'd be like, oh, yeah.
Yeah, Womp Stomp did that right.
Yeah, that was a very, 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 very well done fan film, and that's one of those movies that you're like, this, yes, was a fan film, but Paramount should just buy this movie and just
like
put it out because
film,
that's the way it should be done.
That film could pave the way for fan films, honestly.
Well, there was a recent one, another one. I keep going back to Star Wars. I'm sorry, but there was apparently a recent fan film. I haven't watched it yet, which is like basically a version of Hamlet, but set in like the Star Wars universe, galaxy.
There's a Star Trek one that people were trying to build too.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
And then Raiders, I still have to watch that one. I want to watch that one. It's these guys who built like that one's a shot for shot recreation of Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Oh, I know what you're talking about. Yeah, I know what you're talking about. I haven't seen that one.
Yeah, I want to see that one.
Yeah, I haven't seen that one, but I know what you're talking about. But anyway, going back to the Friday the 13th remake, I don't think that if they try to do something like they did with the 2009 remake, it's gonna fail. It's gonna fail. I can tell you right now.
Friday the 13th.
Yes.
That one was still good.
It was fine.
But no one remembers it.
No one remembers it. I'm sorry, I keep trying to get my the right hand up. Yeah, no, see, that's the thing, because it was fine for what it was, but if you try to do that again, I don't think it's going to work.
Yeah, I think it's because we've had too many remakes already. No one cares about remakes
Right.
anymore.
You have to take it to a different level.
Yeah.
And I think either going with something like the Womp Stomp film version, or again, I'm just throwing this out there, pitching it Killer Kid Jason, although you still have to bring back. Here's the thing with remakes is that you have to throw in some sort of I don't know, some sort of nostalgia. So does he wear the hockey mask? Maybe he has to wear something to cover his face.
At the end, or at some point, maybe there's a hockey mask up on the wall or something, or it's in somebody's bag, or
Maybe he goes into like the because they're on Camp Crystal Lake. Maybe they play hockey on the lake, so maybe they have like a winter camp. So they have like, oh, here's some hockey masks and stuff like that.
Or there's just like a little area where the tennis court is, and then they play hockey over there. Hockey is not just towards ice, you know.
But
we all saw Clerks. They played it on the roof, man.
True, but no one thinks about hockey not on ice.
You know, it's a bad remake.
What's
reboot.
that?
Anything having to do with Alien and Predator.
If I throw out some, yes, absolutely. If you throw out some remakes, can I get your thoughts on them? Absolutely, I will.
Go for it.
Do
Go
it.
for it. That's
Do
what
it.
we're doing this for. It's
Yes.
funny because we were gonna make this a short stream, but we keep
We keep talking
we're
about.
into it.
Yeah, because here's the thing. There's one remake I would actually like to see.
Mm-hmm.
The Amityville Horror. No, and I'm going to tell you why.
It's been done too many times.
It's been done too many times. Okay.
And how many times can you tell that story? Same
And
story.
second, I don't. Yeah, basically, I you know the whole story, the whole idea of the Amityville Horror is one of those things where when I watched it when I was younger, I liked it, and I still like it as a horror movie, but as an actual like, oh, this happened, no.
The actual murder that happened
The-
in the
the-
house.
The murder, yes,
It's
the murder.
interesting.
Yes,
it's crazy.
The murder happens. The murder of the DeFeos actually happened. Ronnie DeFeo is still in jail. He still deserves to be in jail because he killed his family and he's a messed up dude. That said, the ghost parts afterwards
Warrens.
by the Lutzes.
The Lutzes and
Yeah,
the Warrens.
and the Warrens. That's the
were there
thing.
for a little bit.
They up the amount of like how much
much
they were
there.
involved. Yeah, like they weren't really involved until really at the end. And I think if you watch The Conjuring 2, that's about as much as they were really involved with the story. They kind of showed up. They just kind of showed up, as far as I'm aware. They just kind of showed up at the end and were just like, hey, we're here. We want to do a seance. Oh my God, this is so scary.
That's a whole nother
The
race
Tingler.
today.
That would be interesting. And I'll say it with this. I think the Tingler could be interesting in a certain sense. Because what made the Tingler work, I think, was you had William Castle, who was a freaking genius when it came to marketing, first of all. The man was, when it came to how to sell a movie, was genius. And that was part of the genius, was like, oh, if you get scared, you're gonna feel the shock. It was almost like they had an effect, and they're like, let's make a movie around this effect that we can put a buzzer in certain people's chairs. That said, the movie itself isn't horrible, though it is funny because it's like, oh, fear turns into this creature, and this creature lives inside of you, and if you can extract the creature, and then yeah. So I think I think it would be a hard sell to try to convince today's audiences that there's a creature caused by fear living inside of you, though I do think you could do it. I'm just not sure how. Maybe there's a creature that can survive on fear. Maybe some sort. I don't know. I don't know how you'd go about that. Like, I'm not gonna lie. I'm not really certain how you'd go about making that work. But I think it could work. It just have to be done really, really well by someone who really knows how to make that kind of story work. The fact that when it was made, it was yeah. And of course, it had Vincent Price, so I mean, just that alone, it was amazing. But I don't know, you'd have to have someone of Vincent Price type status to make something like that work, and I think that's what made that movie work.
Okay, so my issue with remakes, ultimately, especially in the horror genre, is they're too caught up in making things so shocking and so edgy that it's not you forget about it 2 seconds later of whatever you just watched.
Yeah.
Back in the day, the good times. The good times. The
good
80s. No.
80s. Back when I was a child.
Back when I was a young whippersnapper in the 90s. I'm making this worse.
Yeah, you should just stop.
Back in those times, though, they
yes.
things were new, a little bit newer, and they just made a movie to make a movie. All the good hit ones, no one was really putting forth the effort to be shocking. Yes, there are shocking moments, but they were not like, we have to do this, we have to be like Blumhouse, we have to put out and make jump scares every 2 seconds. You know what I mean?
Well, I'm going to slightly disagree with you a little bit. I'm going to slightly disagree with you. And here's what I'm going to say about it. I think they were trying to make shocking movies because they couldn't compete with the big studios.
Yeah, but
they couldn't.
It was to the extent of how people are trying to come up with the next edgy thing these days.
Yeah. Well, that's today.
Like Last House on the Left, they just did it to do it. Yeah, that
Yes.
has way too many shocking moments, but they just made that movie to make a movie because they wanted to make a movie.
Yeah, but that's the thing. I think the people making the movies who wanted to make a movie, they were doing it because they couldn't do anything else. They had to compete. Those guys had to compete not with other horror movies per se. Mm-hmm. They were trying to compete with studios because they had to get their stuff distributed. That's the big thing. It's not so much about making a movie that's going to get wide. You want a movie that's going to get distributed. So you're going to have to find that particular genre, that particular kind of niche, and going with something like like Night of the Living Dead was shocking for its time because it hadn't necessarily been done before, because most legitimate studios at the time weren't going to make a zombie movie.
But that was shocking because it was new to people. It wasn't shocking because they were trying to be shocking.
No, it wasn't shocking because they were trying to be shocking, but it was shocking because, in a sense where, people hadn't done this before, because a major studio system wasn't going to have, people thought it was like groundbreaking that there was a black male as the lead.
Right.
That was shocking.
Yeah,
because
Barbara is seriously the worst character ever known to man. That woman, she's useless. She is a useless character.
She just screams the entire time. But no, I mean that's what made that movie great. Is he made decisions that propelled it forward, that we can look back on. I was like, of course you do that. The character was amazing. He was a black man. He was a one who came in, he took charge, he knew what was going on, and he went ahead with it. And then and he was just being a human being, which at that point was one of those things of like, oh my God, we've never seen a black man on screen acting like a human being. Right. Weirdly, you know what I'm saying? It's one of these things. I know it sounds so weird and bizarre, but that didn't really happen a whole lot back then. We didn't see a character like that, and I think that is what made it shocking. Not so much the blood and guts and everything else. That was social commentary.
So would you say that Hollywood, the reason why things are not as shocking to well, A, is society and the things that happen in daily life. We have everything in our face all the time, but also they have access to almost too much.
Sometimes it's
have,
hard.
Like,
it's hard.
seriously, making movies, people have access to everything.
Yeah, I mean, there's actually an overload of content at this point.
So movies were better when they were limited.
You could make that argument. But I think it's one of those things where now you're getting so much content. Now you're finding all that niche stuff, and you're going to find what you want out there. It's just the question is, can it be done well? Can it be told? Can a story be told right outside the major politicals? And will people go see it if they've never heard of it before? That's the biggest thing. I think that's the whole issue with remakes. Is studios, all these companies, they make these movies because it's got name recognition.
You made it mad.
Something, but everything. I just saw everything pause. But Cannibal wants to know about Pumpkinhead.
Pumpkinhead. Oh.
Lance Henriksen.
I mean, the makeup artist, isn't he still alive? His son is. I've met his son.
Who did the makeup for that one? That wasn't Rick Baker. That was
no, that was Bottin.
Oh, Rob Bottin?
I think so.
Oh my! It's unstable. It says. Is that bad?
Give it a minute. See if anything's loading.
Oh, sometimes, yeah. So, what do you think of Pumpkinhead, Haley? Have you seen it?
No.
You haven't seen it. Well, there you go. I have seen it. I watched it in high school, and I watched it recently again, just to kind of catch up on it. Here's the thing. I watched it in high school, and I'm not going to lie. I was snobby in high school because I was...
What?
I know, right? I was snobby in high school because I thought to myself, oh, well, I'm going to be a proper actor. I'm Shakespearean.
He was going to be an actor.
I was Shakespearean trained. This isn't acting. Horror movies aren't real. Blah blah blah. I wasn't smart as a child. I'll be honest with you. But so I saw it and I liked it. I was like, okay, this is genuinely interesting. I watched it again recently because I was like, I only watched this in high school the one time. I was not fair to it, so I watched it again. I definitely appreciated it more. I don't know if I think it could be done, honestly. I think it could be done, but I think the biggest thing, and I'm really serious about it. I think yes. I think there's going to be a short answer, yes. Long answer, yes.
Good job. Yes.
No, I mean, I really think that you could take the Pumpkinhead storyline and really run with it. The whole idea of the original was... Okay, so I haven't seen the second one. Full disclosure, I haven't seen the second one. But, was there more than that either? I'm not 100% certain.
I'm sure.
If there was, I haven't seen any of those. I've only seen the first one. The first one was good because it was a father out for revenge, right? And and it was good. It was one of those things that okay, cool. I think that you could really take that storyline and really, really just inject some nitroglycerin into that storyline and really, really make it scary. And I really think it could be done well. The funny thing for me is not seeing the monster is scarier than seeing them.
Right.
And I think if you took the Pumpkinhead motif and really almost got rid of the monster nearly completely, visually speaking, I think it could work really well.
There are 4 Pumpkinhead movies.
4? Jeez.
There is Pumpkinhead, Pumpkinhead 2, Blood Wings.
Mm-hmm.
That is a terrible name.
That should not have been.
That should have not been thought of. Pumpkinhead, Ashes to Ashes, which is the third one, made in 2006. And Pumpkinhead, Blood Feud, made in 2007.
So, I guess they keep running with that one. Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. I don't know. I haven't watched 2 or 3 or 4, but I did like 1, and 1 I think could be done well, remade again. I'm gonna go with that. Pumpkinhead, yes, but different.
I say we remake Jaws. And yeah, that's all we need to do.
I need to find something to throw at you.
Although
I'm just gonna throw the camera at you. Just kidding.
Is it a Spielberg movie that has been remade? I don't think Spielberg.
No, but he's remade movies.
Yeah, but he hasn't well, there's Indiana Jones and the Crystal of Gorgongus.
Wishmaster. What do you think of Wishmaster?
It was alright.
Could you remake it? Could you remake Wishmaster? Would you remake Wishmaster?
No, but you know what would be cool?
What?
Warlock remade would be neat. Or what's that one with
Here's the thing with
the
Wishmaster.
angel and the end of the world, and it's got what the hell is
The
it?
Prophecy.
Yeah, the Prophecy would be cool.
Here's the thing with Wishmaster. Short answer.
That's a short answer?
Yeah, that's pretty much my short answer with that one. Because wait, hang on a second. Have I seen it? No, I'm trying to remember.
Let's start remaking bad remakes. Like,
You know what? Actually, now that I think about it, I don't think I've ever seen Wishmaster. That's one of those movies that I just keep seeing up, pop up. I'm like going, I need to watch that one. Do I want to watch that one now? I don't know. Because here's the thing. You're going to laugh at this. So, when I was a kid, right, I participated in the library reading thing where every once a week, me and 5 or 6 other kids that had volunteered for this thing or I don't even know how the hell we got signed up for it, but we would go to the library and the librarian would read us a story. And the story, the one story that I got to hear, the full thing, was called The Wishmaster. And it was a kid's book. Very different from the horror movie. So, every time I saw The Wishmaster pop up in my feed, I couldn't separate it out from the idea of the children's book I had read, or had read to me by the librarian. And so I was like, okay, so it's basically a scary version of that story, which, when I had read a plot synopsis at one point, I was like, okay, it really is a scary version of the same damn story. So I hadn't actually seen it yet, and it's one of those things of I need to go back and rewatch it, and that's a goal. That's a goal for this year. It's my New Year's resolution right now. Just a little bit late. 17 days in, New Year's resolution.
Oh my god, it is only 17 days.
They are remaking The Grudge? Are you serious?
Well,
here's the thing.
that could be okay.
I like The Grudge, and I like the Japanese Yuan. Yeah, it's based on. But when I had seen The Grudge, in 2003, 4, whenever it came out. Scared me. I was like, oh, that was scary. And then I went back and watched Yuan and some of the other ones, and it was basically anthology stories that they just took bits and pieces and turned into the movie. And I was like, oh, okay, I get it now. Fine. So I kind of lost a little bit of respect for The Grudge after seeing Yuan, because I was like, well, Yuan, whatever you want to call it, was really cool, while The Grudge was like, we're just going to take some parts from this one, and parts from that one, and parts from this one, and just kind of, mash them together and turned it into that. And it wasn't bad, but it was. I kind of was like, oh, all right, well, okay. But The Grudge could be interestingly done again. Although I did like Sadako versus Kyoko.
Yeah, that was really good.
That one was fun, and I would honestly like to see the psychic character brought back.
I would like to see just a movie about him and his many crazy adventures.
Right?
I don't know what.
And his adventures.
His adventures.
So yeah, I would like to. Here's a bad one for you. Ghosts of... Oh my god. I've seen Ghosts of Mars. John Carpenter.
I've not seen
Oh my god. That one needs to die. That one just straight up needs to die. Although I think I liked it. What at the time? Although I was hanging out with my college friends. We liked it. We loved everything John Carpenter. And why wouldn't you love everything John Carpenter? So we watched it. We got drunk and watched it, loved it. So I retract my needs to die thing and just say, no, everyone just needs to watch the movie and love it, because just love it. Just love it. Just love it. You just want to love it. Just a little love. Just a little tickle under the chin love. Just a little, oh, you're so good, you're so good, you're so good. Just love it. Just love it. Yeah, that's right. Just love it. Ghosts of Mars. You know, I think that one's overrated or underrated. I have to go back and rewatch it, because I remember watching it thinking to myself, oh my god, what am I watching? Oh my sweet Jesus. But then enjoying the movie just because of the company I was in. I think that was one of the things that made me love it, actually, was hanging out with my friends watching that movie.
Well, yeah, I actually hated Shaun of the Dead the first time I watched it. Hated it because I watched it by myself. I watched it with friends afterwards. So much better. And then now I love it. I love Simon Pegg. I was a stupid kid. But with that being said...
Yeah.
Jeffrey.
Yeah. Oh my god, we have been going on for an hour. I'm so sorry.
But...
I told Haley, I was like, we'll let this be a short stream. I'm sorry.
With that being said, Jeffrey, where can they find more of us?
See, I knew this was where this was going.
You let me kill my transition, man.
Sorry. Because you started the transition, I was like, oh, she's going to wrap this up soon. And I was like, how long have we been? Oh! And that's when it just popped out. I apologize. I did not mean to.
So, with that being said, Jeffrey Potts.
What?
Where can they find more of us?
They can find us on 52weeksofhorror.com, where you can read Dan Lee's article about remakes and see his opinion and check it out, because it's a fantastic article, as always, by Dan Lee. And you can check us out at 52weeksofhorror.com. Also, Facebook, Pinterest, Instagram, YouTube, here on Twitch, everywhere. 52 Weeks of Horror. That's 52 Weeks of Horror. And yeah.
With that, don't forget to keep making that scary.
That's right, people. Everyone out there, love you.
And we will
keep it scary.
See you all tomorrow.
Indeed. So until then.